Okay, let's get things started with our first DIY. We're going to use this stand-up picture frame I got from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to use some pages out of this scrapbook paper that I actually ordered from Amazon. I like to get it from Hobby Lobby, but it's an hour away from me, so I don't get there very often. So the first thing we're going to do is take this sheet off of here, obviously. And then we're going to open this up very carefully. I wasn't for sure what it would be like to open it up, so I was experimenting and hoping it wouldn't break, but it didn't. It actually is only held together by these little pegs on the inside, and then I pulled the little plastic sleeve out. So here I'm showing you what it's held together. So I didn't want to risk pulling it all the way apart. So I pulled it apart enough to be able to pull the insert out. And that was as far as I went. So I'm going to use this to know exactly how the size I need to trim my scrapbook paper. And I'm going to cut it out. I am going to cut out two pieces so that way I can have a front and a back to this sign. I want to be able to stick it anywhere, and if it's somewhere where you could see the front and back, say if I had it on my table, I wanted both sides to have some decoration to it. So once we have it trimmed up to the exact size we need, the scrapbook paper I got, which is adorable, also has these little cutouts. So I knew I was going to want the little cat that's on here. And originally I thought I was going to want this little black sheet that I'm cutting off. And once I placed it on my scrapbook paper that looks like a spider web, I realized, nope, that don't work very well. That is far too dark. I did like the little cat on it though, so I still went with that one. And then I decided to cut out the little example here that has a witch on it because I actually did create a decent amount of witch themed Halloween decorations this year. So I thought actually this will go perfect with some of the other decor that I've made, especially some of the decor that we are making right here today. So once you get everything all cut out here, we are just going to take our scrapbook pages and we are going to stick them back in now the picture frame. They slide right in perfectly, and if you cut it to the same size as the insert, you won't have any problem. They'll go right in. You push it down, and then you just snap the little picture frame back together. I absolutely love this because we can change it out for all the different holidays. And you don't have to do anything too permanent to it. So the next thing I'm doing is just using some Mod Podge to stick the little designs that I cut out to my spider web pages. So easy peasy right here. This is probably going to be a very easy DIY that you could do in really 5 minutes or under. I mean, honestly, it wouldn't take you very long at all to have this cute little decor piece that you can stick anywhere in your home for Halloween. So just Mod Podge them on and then make sure you do press it down. And if you need a little bit, like I do, on the edges to make sure it stays in place because I don't want it peeling up, just add a little extra under there. I didn't want any on the outside because I didn't want it to be glossy, but I did make sure that I got a little bit extra under the edges so that way I don't have to worry about any peeling for the next 30 days. Funny thing, I actually poured a little too much Mod Podge on the first picture on this cat one. So I took some of the excess and put it on the second picture. And then you can see there at the end here, I was using some of the Mod Podge that was on the back of the second picture to help me finish up the cat picture. So I definitely made sure I had enough on there to where I'm not going to have to worry about this going anywhere. So just repeat that process with your second little design. And I know I got these on Amazon, but you can get stickers even without having to use Mod Podge at the Dollar Tree. They have a lot of cute wall clings this year. So there's many different options you can use for your picture, or if you're close to a Walmart, you can even go out there. I know they had quite a bit for Halloween as well. So I decided that for the witch side, I was going to do use an extra one of these cute little witch hats that I had from a DIY that I posted last week actually, and I think it looks perfect. I love it. It's adorable. Right now I have it sitting right next to my two-tier tray, but I think I am going to use it on my table so that way you can see both sides. I was happy with how this turned out for such a cute little project. So, if you like using garland for the holidays, you're going to love this next DIY. We're going to use the little cat and hat wood ornaments that you can pick up from the Dollar Tree, along with the color ink and Waverly chalk paint. You can use a black color, any color you want, and color along the outside edges of all the hats. I am going to be putting scrapbook paper on the front and back of the hats, so we are not going to need to paint the whole hat. And then make sure you color the all of the cats, front, back, and the sides in your black paint as well. I just showed you the scrapbook paper that I put on the witches' hats. I don't know why I didn't get that recorded, but I didn't. So you're just using Mod Podge to get that scrapbook paper on the front and back side of your hats. And then you see we have our little pile of black cats. Now I am taking this green twine, I guess you can call it, that I got at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just making little hooks, little tags on all of the witches' hats and on the cats. I will show you here in a second why I do that. If you were to hang the twine that we're going to use to hang the garland, if you were to put it directly on without having any little hanger, your garland is going to hang sideways like I'm showing you here. Versus if you create this little hanging tag, it will hang perfectly so you can actually see the garland that you want people to see. I mean, we're making it. We want people to see how adorable it is. So I laid out how I wanted my garland. Obviously, I'm going to do every other one with the hat and the cat. And I laid it out on my table and I'm laying out my string so that way I get the correct length that I'm going to want. I do have a little bit extra, but I'd prefer to have extra than not enough. Then I did get the cats and the hats, and I have them hanging now on my twine. So now it's ready to be decorated a little bit further with a couple ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree and a couple fabrics that I already had on hand. Find some fabric you already have, or pick up some remnants from Joann Fabrics or from Walmart. Sometimes you can get fabric at the Dollar Tree. Personally, my Dollar Tree don't get it very often, so I struggle. Then I'm going to cut it all out in 4-inch strips. I did have to trim it up just a little bit, so you might want to just cut yours in like 3.5 strips. And I cut enough to where I could have one on each side of the hat and cat and have plenty on there to where it'll fill it in and be nice and full. So you're just tying it on in a knot like I'm showing you here. Really simple. Just make sure you have it between each and every area so that way no gap is left empty. We want it to be nice and full. The next I'm going to cut out a little square of this first fabric, and I am going to just tear it apart into smaller strips. Really easy. I'm not even going to cut all the strips. You'll see here in a second. I'm just going to tear it like you would for a rag wreath. I don't know if you've ever made one or seen one, but you just kind of tear your fabric apart. So I'll cut little slices in the bottom of the fabric where I'm going to tear, and then I just tear it up and it goes pretty easily, a lot easier than what it looked like here for my first one. I don't know why I was hesitating a little bit there. And then I realized I did forget to cut off the end, that little end piece on the fabric don't tear very well. So make sure you cut that off first if that's the part of the fabric that you have in your little section. So just cut your little strips on the rest of your fabric until you have enough for your project. So after I did put a couple of them on, I decided I wanted mine to be double layered. I wanted you to be able to see the decoration on both sides. So you'll see how I laid one on top of the other so that way you can see the fabric and you're not seeing the plain backside no matter which way your garland decides to lay. So just lay the backside of one strip on the backside of another strip and voila, now you have the front side on both sides. And then just fill it in and go through the whole strand and fill in empty spaces that you see that you're not happy with. I ended up having to cut a few more strips just because I wanted it to be a little fuller. So go off your personal preference, how much you want on there, and how much you don't want on there until you get the desired look you are looking for between all of your ribbon. Then I'm going to take the end of the strand. I always like to have a little hanging area. That way, if I decide to hang it somewhere where I have a nail or over a hook or something of that nature, I have a little thing to hang it on. So I'm just ending it where I think I want my link to be. And I tie it in a knot, leaving a circle at the end of it, like you can see here. Make sure you pull it tight because you do not want it to end up falling apart if you have it hanging up. You definitely don't want it falling down. And then I end up double knotting it. And boom, I have my little hanging hook at the end of my twine. And here you see the finished effect. I have the perfect distance I want between the cats and the hats, and I had it to the fullness I wanted with the ribbon and the fabric. And I have it hanging up on my little coffee nook shelf that is actually not related to coffee at all right now. It's all decorated for Halloween, but I love it. It is cute. It adds the perfect touch, and I love garland, you guys. I'll probably make one for every holiday. So, let's jump on into our next DIY. I took these little wood cubes that I did get from the Dollar Tree and I just separated them into three different piles. I painted them, I painted some in black, I painted some in this burgundy color I had left over from the little wooden truck Pet Sematary DIY that I did a couple DIYs back. I will link that project in the drop down box below. I had the burgundy color left over from that, so I used it on some of the blocks. And then I just colored the third set of blocks in an orange color. Choose whatever colors you want for your Halloween decor. You want something that is going to go with your decor. I have a lot of purples, a lot of burgundy colors mixed in mine, so these colors went with mine. Go whatever color works with yours. And I was not smart, and I actually painted all these blocks by hand. Y'all, you don't need to do that. Put you a little paint in a baggie, put a little water in with it, throw your blocks in there, and boom, you are going to have all of your blocks painted perfectly without having to do what I did. Then I took it out to the garage and I drilled holes with our drill in all of them. Then I came back to the same green twine that I just got done using. I taped the end of it so that way it would be nice and smooth. And I just put it through all those holes that I just drilled. Now, at first I was going to do, black, burgundy, orange, and right here, actually, at first I was just going to have one block neutral. I changed my mind about that and ended up going back in and painting it orange. But I decided I didn't want a mean to my madness, and I just kind of like wherever I put them. So the colors are all mixed and matched. So for the end, I wanted a tassel on one end. So I'm making my own homemade tassel. And I just wrap the twine, I'm using a non-colored twine now, around my fingers until I have the fullness that I'm looking for my tassel to be. Then I cut off my twine and I wrap it around, leaving about a little under a half of an inch at the top. Wrap it around and tie it real tight so that way you have a tight knot holding your twine in place so that way your tassel don't fall apart. You don't want it to fall apart. Normally, then I will just take the couple pieces that I have from tying my knot. Normally, I'll just tuck them in. I don't know why. On this one, you'll actually see me cut them off here. But you can just tuck those right in, and they'll tuck right in. You don't even have to do this. And then you'll take your scissors and you'll cut off the bottom, and boom, you just made your very own tassel. You didn't even have to buy a tassel. And then I'm going to tie this on to the end of one of the sides of my block garland. Then remember how we just used the hats in our other garland? Well, I kept one and I pulled it aside because I wanted an odd number for that anyways. And so I'm just using it to finish the other end of my block garland. I painted the whole thing black because you have the colors on the beads. I didn't want color on the witch hat. I didn't want to use the same scrapbook paper. And I had these little stickers, so I threw one of them on there, sanded it to give it a little bit of a distressing look, and boom, I love it with my Hocus Pocus sign that you see there that I made in a DIY previously, that you can go find that as well. So this last DIY is an unbelievably quick way to decorate a pumpkin to make it match your decor. I took that scarf that I got from the Dollar Tree, these pumpkins that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I just made them so that way they'll match my decor. You just need to make the hole a little bit bigger after you pull the stem out of the top. You will want your scarf to be cut down. Now, the Dollar Tree scarves are really thin, so I made sure it was doubled up. And then you're just kind of laying it and pushing it in place. A couple times I would use my scissors to really make sure I got it pushed in the hole. But this is a super easy way to make pumpkins that match your decor, guys. I mean, it's very easy. If you end up with a little extra fabric like I do here, no big deal. Cut it off, push it in. You're going to end up putting the little stem from the exact same pumpkin that you took off earlier. You're going to put that right back on top. No hot glue, nothing. It will literally hold it in place. You can't get simpler than this. So if you're sitting around with a bunch of orange pumpkins and they don't match your decor at all, find a scarf, an old shirt that maybe matches your decor, or a towel. Find something, whether it's a scarf or not from the Dollar Tree. Just find something that matches your decor and do the same method. It's a super easy way to have matching pumpkins. So I hope that you enjoyed these DIYs. I hope y'all are already subscribed, and I hope you'll join me next time. Thanks so much. Bye.